It is Friday, October 25th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, along for the ride as well. It's so good to see you. Even though I was having an amazing time, I did miss you a little bit.
I'm happy to see you as well, Chris, but I was thinking about you and Michelle out in Europe and how much fun you guys must have been having. So I wanted you to stay longer. I needed you back here, though, for some work because I don't know if you know this, but we have the World Series starting tonight.
That's the rumor. That is the rumor.
Yeah.
And actually, before we do get started, that is the tip of the cap today. I want to thank Katie Wu, Jolly Olive, Dalton Feely, who helped and stepped up in producing this show and helped put it together, while the beautiful bride and I were able to gallivant around Europe. I was working there, obviously in London, calling a game, but then we went to Paris for a couple days.
That's
We were like
amazing.
that close. We had never been. We had
What's
to go
that
now.
thing called?
That's the Arc de Triomphe in the
Oh.
Champs-Élysées.
I knew that.
Beautiful.
I'm French.
Yeah, you are. You are. And there's the Louvre. She's holding the Louvre. We got that
She's
one.
holding it up.
Yeah, why not? So we had a great time. It was awesome. Missed my baseball community, but we're back and we're just about ready. And we have a special announcement. To celebrate the World Series, SeatGeek, the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, is giving everybody out there 10% off their next purchase with the code JOHNBOYPLAYOFFS10. Doesn't matter whether you're a returning customer or a SeatGeek newbie. Use that code JOHNBOYPLAYOFFS10. They're going to hook you up. That's JOHNBOYPLAYOFFS10 for 10% off your next SeatGeek purchase. You will thank us for it later. Speaking of later, we've got our SeatGeek question of the week, and it's a good one. Might even make you tear up. So let's get to it. Dodgers, Yankees, World Series for the first time since 1980. A pair of iconic franchises, and it is a series, right, Aaron Judge and Mookie Betts, that is littered with stars.
You know, just the legends they got on their team, the legends we got on our team. I think it's just another star-studded matchup. Two best teams in baseball going at it. It's just.
I mean, these are kind of the teams that you pick when you go play video games and whatnot, and so that's what makes it fun. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But with it being so challenging, I think that's what brings us all joy.
So if we're just focused on the everyday lineups, I see it as though each team has three superstars, right? Yankees, Judge, Soto, Giancarlo Stanton, certainly in the month of October. And with the Dodgers, it's Ohtani, Betts, and Freddie Freeman. Which of those six guys do you think will be the headliner in the Fall Classic?
First, I want to give a shout out to Mookie for that video game lines. I do think that's a great one. I used to play this. I don't play video games, but I had this one baseball game. I used to use Carlos Delgado for my home run as my home run derby participant. And he just freaking raked. So shout out Carlos Delgado. I'm going with Mookie for my answer here because we've seen the Yankees. Jimmy did a fantastic breakdown of this. The Yankees were really careful to who they pitched to in the ALCS, and your Guardians weren't that careful with who they pitched to. So I think we're going to see them try to not let Shohei Ohtani beat them. Now, I know you can say, okay, probably they won't let Mookie do that as well, but Shohei is going to be on base. They're going to pitch around him at times, especially they don't have a ton of lefties. Tim Hill's going to go after Shohei when he can, but I think they're going to pitch around him, and then it's going to be up to Mookie and Freddie to get the job done. Mookie's had a great postseason. I think he's going to relish the limelight, and I think he might, he's not going to be offended that they walk Shohei, but he's, we've seen this from him. Like, I'm Mookie freaking Betts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to get the job done. So I'm going to go with Mookie Betts. I think he's going to have a big series, and he's going to have to if the Dodgers want to win.
Yeah, I don't think you can obviously go wrong here with so many brand names in it. It's awesome. But I am going to go with Juan Soto, who turns 26 years old today. He's freaking 26, and he's about to play in his second World Series. And I think that's part of the reason I'm going with him. Because actually, if you look at the numbers overall of the six guys we just mentioned, in terms of their numbers against the guys that are most likely to be active, the guy who's got the best numbers far and away is Aaron Judge. Now, he doesn't have a ton of numbers against these Dodgers pitchers. In fact, I don't even think he's faced Flaherty before. But Juan Soto, I just think he is so locked in, and not just because of that last at bat in Cleveland that propelled the Yankees to the World Series, But based on what he did 5 years ago as just a kid in the World Series. Remember, he hit 3 home runs against the Houston Astros. I think he took Gerrit Cole and Justin Verlander deep in that series as well. Like, the limelight is all about him, and he knows that he's going to be the biggest ticket item that we've seen in free agency since last year. And he's ready. I just think he is going to love and cherish every moment of this.
We talked about that a little bit. Him turning 26 tonight, like, he's going to hit a homer, right? He's going to hit a homer. That's like what he does. I know the numbers against Jack aren't exactly great. He's 1 for 9 with a double and a run driven. He does have 5 walks, but it just seems like you mix the World Series with the birthday, and we're going to get something special from him.
Yeah, he's unreal. I mean, his ability to hone in, like in that last, I know you guys talked about it ad nauseum, but in his at bat against Hunter Gaddis, where he's shaking his head as the ball is going past him and, fouling one off and all that sort of stuff. Like, I don't think almost a week off will kill that guy's batting spirit. I just think he's incredible. I think it's awesome that we have 6 guys to talk about in this sort of realm. And you can't go wrong. It's been a while since we've added this star-studded a World Series, right?
It really, I know we keep pushing this narrative, and it seems like, kind of the players feel the same way. This is the heavyweight matchup. It really is. Yeah.
The guys that are going to get the ball in Game 1, a pair of Southern California kids, Gerrit Cole for the New York Yankees, your buddy Jack Flaherty for his hometown Los Angeles Dodgers. Who's got more to gain? Cole in terms of his Yankee legacy, or Flaherty in terms of his upcoming free agent dollars?
So I think I'm going to say Jack here, but I don't necessarily believe that. I think Cole's legacy here, we talked about the Yankees and what it means to get on that upper echelon of, legends. You have to win. There's different tiers to Yankee legends. So I think Cole is pushing for that. But I do want to talk about Jack and kind of what this means for his free agency. He has the baseline for it. Like, you go look at what he did this year, I think teams will love the fact that, number one, he had a good year. Number two, he got traded to a contender and pitched well for them down the stretch. That means a lot. If he can cement himself here with a nice World Series, I think he will make some money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has the baseline. That's great. He's going to, have suitors. He's going to get paid. It's going to be good for him this offseason. But, he's had 3 starts in the postseason. 2 of them one has been bad, and one's been kind of bad, and then one's been great. So he's kind of been up and down. I think if he goes out and has a really good World Series, I think there is money to be earned. And I think, there's a little legacy for Jack here as well. You mentioned he's from Southern California, grew up in Burbank, went to Harvard Westlake, now pitching for his Dodgers, starting Game 1 of the freaking World Series. I know legacy is probably more at stake for Gerrit Cole, but can you imagine? Like, put yourself in his shoes. He's pitching for his hometown team. Mm-hmm. They have home field advantage. He's pitching Game 1. There is legacy stuff here with Jack as well, but I think there's definitely money to be made if he goes on a run in this World Series.
I don't know how much money there is to be made for him. I think the important thing was that he showed everybody that he was healthy this year. He made 28 starts and then another few here in the postseason. And to me, with Jack Flaherty, that was the biggest question. I think, could he continue to handle that workload? And I think he's checked that box, and he pitched very well. The thing that worries me a little bit is, and I know that there's the Scott Boras asterisk by it, but Jordan Montgomery did everything you could ask a starting pitcher to do. Now, I know Flaherty's a few years younger, and so that will obviously have some sort of role in the free agency plan moving forward. But, man, I thought Jordan Montgomery was in line for a big deal, and he ended up not getting it. So I don't know exactly what the World Series would do, which is why my answer is Gerrit Cole. So when you sign the type of deal that he did, it's to pitch in Games 1 and 5 of a World Series and to leave your mark. Now, it's interesting. His first start as a Yankee in the playoffs was terrible. He went 2 innings in that wild card loss up in Boston. Since then, he's had 6 starts. 3 have been pretty good. A couple have been excellent. And the others have been okay. Like this year, he's been okay. He had 1 dominant start to close out the Royals series. But in 16 and the third inning, he struck out 12 and walked 6. Those aren't dominant Cole-type numbers. He's given up 19 hits as well. So I would like to see him try and take it to another level. I know he's going to try to. Whether or not he'll be successful, I don't know. But I think he's got a lot to show because he's been everything that the Yankees have wanted out of the regular season, Gerrit Cole. I don't know if he's been everything they wanted in the October Gerrit Cole.
I think there's a couple different Yankees that are right now saying if I have a big World Series, I step up into that upper echelon 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's there. Obviously, Aaron Judge is there. I mean, Stanton, I think, has done everything and then some. But it would, once again, take him to a different stratosphere in terms of the discussion point of where he stands in terms of sluggers.
And then where is Juan Soto going to stand in all this? 1 year and done?
Well, what I would say is just a small correction before the 2021 World Series. He pitched the 2020. Oh, it was good. Yeah, they were right. Good call on that, Dan. I forgot about the 2020 playoffs. He was good in those starts. So 2021 was a wild card game. Very good, Dan. That's my fault. So still, he's been good, but not elite, is what we would say. And I think that's fair. Thank you, Dan, for getting those corrections on me. This is what happens when you're a little jet lag, people. I apologize. All right, so we got much more coming your way. But first, my man Trevor Plouffe with these words.
Yes, playoff baseball is coming down to the final stretch. Get in on all of the playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook. From same-game parlays to live betting to odds boosts and so much more, DraftKings has you covered until the champ is crowned. Right now, all new customers who bet $5 will instantly get $200 in bonus bets when you use code BASEBALL today. Stay in on the action and use your $200 in bonus bets to bet anytime homers on DraftKings. I mentioned one already that you can bet. It's tonight. Go back and listen to the show. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code BASEBALL today and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code BASEBALL today. All one word, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook.
All right, we continue on. Obviously, this is a star of stars in terms of the World Series, but we're going to go with each team's, I don't know if I want to call it. I know the banner says sneaky MVP pick, but I want to go with just sneaky difference maker. You can eventually make them a World Series sneaky pick if you want to, but let's go Yankees first for each of us. Then we'll each go Dodgers. Who do you have?
I feel like there's so many people to pick from for this question as well. We're going Yankees first?
Yankees first, yeah.
I think I'm going to go with the left side of the infield for the Yankees then. There's a great article right now on MLB.com about Anthony Volpe's swing speed. His bat speed has risen in the month of October, and he's reaping the benefits from that. But I think him and Jazz Chisholm are going to have chances with runners on base. I think both these managers are going to try to pitch around the big guys as much as possible. It's kind of going to be my answer for everything here because I think it's true. I think Dave Roberts is going to try to avoid letting Giancarlo Stanton try to hit one out of the stadium. I think Jazz is going to have some opportunities. I think Volpe is going to have some opportunities to drive and run. So I'm going to go left side of the infield just because, look, we know how under the microscope these games are as well. I want to see some defense out of these guys. I think there's going to be some bunting from the Dodgers. How's Jazz going to hold that? Or how's he going to defend that? All these things are going to come into play. I think there's going to be pressure applied by both of these teams. But I think just for the sake that we're going to see Dave Roberts be smart about pitching to Giancarlo Stanton, I think that these guys are going to have some opportunities, and I think they could end up being the unsung heroes.
Well, you mentioned this guy earlier. Now, he's got no shot at winning MVP in this series for the New York Yankees, but I think he could be as critical as anyone, and that is Tim Hill, right? We've seen, teams try and take Shohei's sting out of his bat by applying a lefty, and Tanner Scott is an elite guy, right? So Shohei really had fits with him in that opening series against the Padres. So the question is, can Tim Hill slow down Shohei in a critical at-bat with runners on when we know that he's put up these astronomical numbers? I don't know if Tim Meza is going to get that shot. Shohei's 1 for 6 against him, but that one did leave the yard. Hill, I think maybe he's 1 for 4 against, but we're going to see this. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if we see Hill in every game of this series against Shohei at some point.
Yeah, I mean that's been the game plan all throughout the postseason so far, is get your lefty in against Shohei, and there's times where he's kind of struggled against that. So yes, I'm assuming Tim Hill is going to be in some huge pressure pack situations, dude.
Yeah, and when you think about it, he's got Shohei and then Mookie and then Freddie Freeman. It's, you might see him in some big-time situations, or you could see him if there's traffic on the bases and 2 outs and they're just trying to use him to get Shohei out. That's a possibility, or where you don't have to.
I think Canley's going to come in for some of those at-bats as well, the change-up.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of – if there's a big lane somewhere, I think that Boone's going to have to think about bringing him. It could be in the 6th inning. I think he's got to have to think about bringing him in those situations.
Yeah, but because of the Yankees' lack of left-handed relievers, you're going to have to fire your shot at some point, and you just got to figure out when that is. Because if it's a 3-2 game and the Dodgers have 2 on and 2 out in the 5th inning, and now all of a sudden Shohei's up for a 3rd time against a starting pitcher, and you don't love that, that's what makes this thing so interesting. What about for the Dodgers?
So I think, talking about lanes and where guys are at in the lineup, I think it's Max Muncy for me. I think if you bring that lefty in or Tommy Canley in for that lane where it's Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie, I think then you'll switch over to a right-handed guy for Teoscar and Kike. But there's Max Muncy kind of sitting in between both those guys. We know what he can do. He's kind of like, I don't want to say he's Kyle Schwarber light, but because I don't believe that. I think he's freaking really good. But that's the kind of guy he can be. He can game-changing power, game-changing type swings he has. And I think that he's going to find himself up in some big situations. Man, if he connects and goes off, he's just going to add to that Dodger lore that he has already, man. He's been there, done that, and I think he's going to have some big at-bats in this series.
It's hard to call the highest paid pitcher in the history of the sport kind of a guy that you're sleeping on a little bit, but Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he's going to start game 2, and if there's a game 6 in this series, those are his. And if you remember, I think probably the best effort he gave all season was in the Bronx. It was right before he got hurt. He made one more 2-inning start after that, and then he was shut down for several months. But he looked great against the Yankees. It was 7 innings of shutout ball. He gave up 2 hits, 2 walks, 7 Ks. But the way he looked and the way he had the Yankees off balance and guessing and trying to figure things out, and they couldn't do it. Now, I'm sure the Yankees learned a ton, but that was 4 months ago. 4 months ago, if my math's correct. Yeah, middle of June, and here we are at the end of October. So I expect him to be great in this situation. It's interesting when we talk about the stars that his name, it doesn't even get brought up.
It's incredible. Yeah, you're totally right. Juan Soto not in that series, and neither was Max Muncy when they played. So 2 guys that are seeing this team for the first time. It is funny because before the season, we would have said, it's him and Shohei, kind of stealing the spotlight. But he's been 100% under the radar. And it's almost like, what do we even expect out of him? All these Dodger starters were like, I don't know. What do you expect to get out of them? You're hoping 6 innings? That's crazy to think about. Dodgers, you're hoping 5 innings?
You're hoping 5.
You're hoping 5 innings. You should be saying these guys are going to go 7, but we just don't have that thought process behind the Dodgers starters.
Right. Yeah. No, it's really interesting. Okay, so now let's move on to the dugout side of things. And you've got 2 guys. It's, even though Aaron Boone grew up on the West Coast, he has been an East Coast employee for the last half dozen years. Dave Roberts, has been with the Dodgers his entire managerial career. One guy went to UCLA and Dave Roberts. One guy went to USC and Aaron Boone. They had a little bit of fun with each other during the media time. But, is that your little fight on?
Yeah, and my Shohei, I forgot to turn it around. You see this? It says Dodgers, but it's obviously.
Dude, where'd you get that? That is awesome.
I got it at a store. No free ads.
Oh, you bought it?
I bought it, yeah.
Wow, okay. I thought maybe there was a free.
Yeah, I guess it's for Yamamoto and Shohei.
That thing is
all my Japanese brothers.
I got to tell you, that thing's awesome. That is awesome. All right,
I'm giving a talk today to Teddy's class. I'm previewing the World Series for them.
Oh, excellent. Well, you know what?
It's a secret.
feel free to use the rundown from our show if you want to.
I have Dalton's notes.
Just make sure that you read the DraftKings ad in the middle of it. That'll be perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's get back to the managers at B. They understand what is ahead of them for the next week plus.
On a global scale, the Yankees and the Dodgers are the most followed, the most supported, the most visible. And so obviously with that, those two are two great organizations, and the branding, it's going to be very visible.
We'll garner a lot of interest all over the country, all over the world, probably more so than usual. I think everyone can identify with Dodgers, can identify with Yankees, and just what that means worldwide. So excited to be a part of it.
These guys also understand the pressure of leading these respective brands and organizations. Which of these two guys is it more important to win a World Series for his respective club?
I mean, it's Aaron Boone, like in a landslide for me. Like Doc's already got one. You could say 2020 isn't anything, but he's already got a ring. Like he's there. Obviously, this would mean something for his legacy, but for Aaron Boone, he's got to do it. So I think 100% it's him. I think both these guys obviously are going to be under the microscope. They've both done really, really good jobs this postseason. We always talk about people in LA talking about Dave Roberts, his moves, and they're waiting for him to mess up a bullpen move. He's been surgical with that this postseason. So I think to answer the question, it is without a doubt Aaron Boone. He has to go. We don't know if Juan Soto is going to be back, man. Like this is his team. He has everyone healthy. He has everyone lined up to go. They found a closer out of thin air. Like everything is here. This is Aaron Boone's time. Like he needs to win one.
Which is exactly why it's Dave Roberts being the right answer. I mean, he is walking, whether you like it or not, he's walking around with an asterisk around him. And people think that
I don't like that, Chris.
I don't either. I don't see it that way. But if you honestly ask baseball fans whether or not the Dodgers 2020 ring was 100%, like, I don't know if you remember this, but the San Antonio Spurs won their first NBA title during the NBA shortened season. Okay. Phil Jackson, for years, would say there was an asterisk around it. Now, he was trying to poke the bear and poke Popovich, but that is one of the legendary coaches in the history of the sport who was like, shortened season, that thing doesn't count. So there are people in baseball, and obviously fans of the sport, that don't see that. They think that the last World Series championship for the Dodgers was 1988. So I don't believe that. You don't believe it, but we have to understand that there are people that believe it. And people feel like the Dodgers get to whatever point they get to every year in spite of, not because of Dave Roberts.
Yeah.
For years, we got to move on. We need a new voice. I hate his pitching moves, even though we all know that probably comes from the front office. All sorts of stuff. He is the one where the shit is rolling downhill right at him. So finally, he could have one where the Dodgers pitching staff, their starting rotation has been in shambles all year, that Freddie Freeman is limping around, that he's had to, put pieces together in their everyday lineup because that guy's missing time and that guy's missing time. And finally, at the end, he could finally say, 162, injuries galore, I got you here.
Do you think Dave Roberts is a Hall of Fame manager? Like they've had crazy success there already.
I think if he wins this one, that he has to be given strong consideration because we just accept, when you're $300 million payroll, you should make the playoffs every year. Well, go ask the team that they're playing over the next week and a half. That hasn't always happened. It doesn't always happen.
Reminding people 2020 was the most teams in the postseason ever up to that point. So I'm still calling it a legit World Series. You do with that what you want.
I think it's a legit World Series, but don't you agree that not everybody does?
Oh, there's a lot of, trust me, I see it on my social media all the time when I talk about. And by the way, I'm just announcing this right now. Okay? Here's a special announcement. Everyone listen up. Okay. I am a Dodgers fan. So from now on, we've heard from Dodgers fans saying, we need somebody to represent the Dodgers. Oh my gosh, you had Jake was in the San Diego stream and then the Mets stream, and nobody's representing the Dodgers. I'm going to be that guy for this company right now. For the next week during the World Series, we got Yankees fans covered. I will be the Dodgers guy. Do you want to be the Dodgers guy with me?
See this hat?
You're gonna stay. You're gonna. Okay, fine.
Yeah, no, you can represent. Good, go represent.
Let me have a National League team.
That's fine. You can.
LA, baby. I was just at the Rams game last night going nuts.
Yeah, it sounds like a very 10-year-old thing to do. Have a National
Sorry,
League
Vikings.
and an American League team. Stop. We'll do that in football today. All right. You know what we all need a little bit more of? To get off our ass. With bold flavors and a refreshing citrus kick, Mountain Dew will get you off your ass and have you feeling like you're on an actual mountain. A mountain where the weather is always perfect. Your friends are ready to hang and a day of epic proportions awaits. You want to do something fun and competitive outside? Go do it right now. Have a longest drive contest, maybe a free throw contest, maybe toss the Frisbee, play some Frisbee golf. If you have a monitor set up outside, grab your gamer headset and go do that for a little while. You could play kickball. You could play blitzball. You could play wiffle ball. You could play pickleball. You could create any sort of ball you want. Why? Because the mountain is calling and you should answer. So grab your friends, grab an ice cold Mountain Dew wherever refreshing beverages are sold, and do the do. All right, it is time right now for our SeatGeek question of the week. Once again, thanks to everybody who sent it in. We got a $500 voucher heading out to SeatGeek, and it is off to a very special boy. That's what his name is there.
I know what you were talking about.
It's the time of year that this game brings us tears, for better or worse, he tweets in. What's the time that baseball got you most emotional, whether joyful or not?
Oh, man. I thought this was a World Series question. I must have read that wrong, because that's what I was going through in my mind.
Well, that's what it is. It's that time of year that the game brings us. So yes. Yeah.
Okay, you're not going to like this. I told you before the show what my answer was going to be. It's 2016. I remember sitting at home watching the Guardians take on the Cubs. That game was crazy. What game was that? Was it 6 or 7?
That was Game 7.
Game 7, that's right. Raja Davis with the homer off of Aroldis Chapman, him going nuts around the bases. They have that great, shot of Chapman being like, whoa, what just happened? Close up on him. That was like such a huge moment. It's really ingrained in me. I mean, what a crazy, unbelievable at bat. I felt like Raja was choking up like halfway up the bat during that at bat against him. So great moment there. Then you have the rain delay, and then eventually the Cubs win the first World Series since 1908, whatever the heck it was. So that one's really ingrained in my mind. I told you, for some reason, the 2005 ending of the World Series where the White Sox won Juan Uribe, kind of backhanded a ground ball. Bobby Jenks, as you reminded me, was on the hill. That one's in my mind as well. But 2016 to me was, still in the game. Watching Raja hit that homer was crazy. You were there.
Crazy. Yes, I was.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was. I had a blackout moment. It was unreal. I've told the story before about what Brady said to me on the walk home, and as we're hand in hand, and yeah. So I would agree with you there. 97 was a very tough one for me. We had a 1-run lead in the 9th, and Jose Mesa couldn't close it out. I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I called my brother Pete and just picked up the phone. He was living in L.A. We were on the phone for an hour, and every 7 minutes, we didn't say anything. We were just watching the Marlins celebrate, and we were just like, this sucks. This sucks. It just was horrible. So that almost brought me to tears. As a kid, 1982, Harvey's Wallbangers, the Milwaukee Brewers. First time they were in a World Series was pretty damn cool. I love their uniforms. They lost in 7 to the St. Louis Cardinals. Paul Molitor, your old skipper, had a kick-ass series. I always loved Gorman Thomas with the big frothy mustache. Ben Ogilvy, Cecil Cooper, Jimmy Gantner, Robin Yount, Ted Simmons, Larry Heisel, Moose Haas, Pete Vukovich. That was one of the first teams I really remember that wasn't my own, but was really fun. And so I kind of felt a little emotional there. Thanks very much, a very special boy, for the for the question. You get a $500 voucher to SeatGeek. Enjoy
Thank
whatever you go
and you're
to.
welcome. Yeah.
Exactly. Before we get out of here, I had a chance to bid adieu to my Cleveland Guardians. So give me 90 seconds here. It's always interesting because it's professional sports, okay? This isn't kindergarten class where everybody gets a participation trophy. So at the end of the day, you always say it, there's 29 teams that feel like crap at the end of the year, and there's just a room full of dudes that are celebrating and their fan bases, and that is it. However, I will say this, that at the beginning of the year, I didn't expect this team to make the playoffs. In fact, I didn't expect us to really even contend. And for the longest time, I would downplay the highlights of this team for 6 full months throughout the regular season. Plouffe, you were there saying, when are you going to start believing? And I think I didn't because I didn't want to hurt so bad at the end of the year. And it's interesting when your team is fighting for a berth in the playoffs and you're up at 4 a.m. Europe time, living and dying on every pitch while your wife is trying to sleep. But I wouldn't have had it any other way. I want to thank Stephen Vogt, who's become a very good friend over the years, a tremendous organization, and people sit there and take a crap on what Clase did and the fact that they pitched to Stanton and Soto and all sorts of stuff. And all I can say is this. Life's about making memories, whether that's traveling the world with the person you love or following the teams that you love. And the Cleveland Guardians of 2024 gave me and my family a ton of memories. Did it finish with the best one? It didn't. But at the end of the day, all we can ask for is continuing to put memories in a bag that we can have for a lifetime. And those dudes did it. So I want to thank them. I love them. I respect the hell out of the Yankees and our entire John Boy Media fan base that follows along with them. But nobody's had it better than me watching this team this year. Love you, boys. It was a great job.
Why'd you pitch to Stanton? Why'd you pitch to Stanton?
Well, we were asking those questions walking around the room at that time.
I'm sure.
All right, listen. Here's our shooting schedule. We will be shooting after every game and then putting it out first thing in the morning the next day. So that means that we're going tonight to have something for you Saturday morning to digest. You'll have something Sunday morning to digest. Our next new show after that will be Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning. We're going to keep going as long as the series does. So we can't wait to have you along for the ride. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you tomorrow for Baseball Today, presented to you by SeatGeek.